Hey, Algebra 2, it's Mr. Szybisty again, and right now we're going to talk about B5, our last video in Unit B, and that's about the sum and differences of perfect cubes. What's an easy way for us to factor that? In B4 we looked at perfect squares, but in this video we're going to look at perfect cubes. So we're going to see things like x cubed, we're going to see numbers like 8 and others. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to remind you that the first thing we always do whenever we are dealing with a factoring question is we look for a GCF first. Then if we don't find it, we can go into a special pattern or whatever it is that we do. If you're dealing with something cubed plus or minus something cubed, and that's a change from last time. Last time this had to be a minus. In this video, for the cube ones, it can be a plus or a minus. Our special pattern is this. B squared, AB, B squared. You'll notice I didn't put any pluses or minuses inside. That's because we have a little saying that reminds us what we're going to put there, and that is SOAP. SOAP stands for same, opposite, and always positive. What I'd like to do is jump into this first example and I'll show you how we use the pattern and SOAP to figure out how to factor this really easily. With this first part, 8x cubed, I know that 8 is really 2 cubed and x cubed is x cubed. And then for 1, well that's 1 cubed because 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So this is going to be the A, and this will be the B. So I start putting them into this formula, into the places where they go. A, B. Now I have to do A squared. And 2x squared is square the 2, square the x, 4x squared. And then I have to do A times B. 2x times 1 is 2x. And then lastly, b squared. 1 squared is 1. So I've got that all taken care of. Now I have to use SOAP to figure out the signs. The signs all run off of whatever this sign was in the original problem. In this case, it was a plus. Your first opening right here is going to be the same sign as before. The second opening is going to be the opposite. Your final opening will be always positive. The last one always has a plus. And that is my final answer. Because I was dealing with cubes, I was able to use this special pattern to help me factor without doing much work. I had to figure out my A and my B, and then I could put them into the pattern to make it all work. Now let's see the next example. I need to factor 125x cubed minus 64y cubed. I see that I'm dealing with cubes here, so I know that I will have to use that special pattern I learned in the last example. Need to figure out what these are cubed though. 125, that's 5 cubed. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. And 64 is 4 cubed. 4 times 4 times 4. This was an x cubed, so x cubed gives you x cubed. This was a y cubed, so that's why the y is right there. Now it's time to put it into the pattern. This is going to be my A, and this will be my B. A, B, A squared. 5 squared and x squared would be 25x squared. And then A times B. 5x times 4y is 20xy. And then lastly is b squared. 4 squared and y squared is 16y squared. And now I need the signs. Notice I started in my original problem with a minus sign. So I will do the same, the opposite, and always positive. And this is my answer. There's no farther place I could go other than that. Notice the pattern. A, B, a squared, a times b, b squared, and then the SOAP. The original one was a minus, same, opposite, always positive. And those are the things that you have to remember when you're dealing with cubes like this. One of the toughest parts that students have to deal with is figuring out what numbers are actually the perfect cubes. I'd like to take the time right now and walk you through the numbers that you want to look for to use this method. 1 cubed is 1. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 3 cubed is 27. 4 cubed is 64. 5 cubed is 125. We're also going to remember 6 cubed is 216. We could use our calculator to figure out 7 cubed, 8 cubed, and 9 cubed, but those typically don't come up very often when we're doing this type of factoring, at least not here in Algebra 2. The one that will come up is 10 cubed, which is 10 times 10 times 10, or 1,000. So using this list, it can help to remind us if we see any of these numbers show up in our problem, we're dealing with perfect cubes. Now let's do a U-try. Here in this U-try, we have to factor 27x cubed plus 8y cubed. Pause the video, try it out. You can even go back to look to see what number cubed does 27 relate to, what number cubed is 8. The answer that you're going to come up with for this one is 27 is 3 cubed, so A is 3x, and 2 cubed is 8, so the B is 2y. Following the pattern, A, B, A squared, AB, B squared, and then we remember SOAP. This was a minus, this was a plus, same, opposite, always positive, final answer. Make sure you write down any questions that you have so you can bring them into class. We can talk about them together. Our last example today is this one right here, 2x cubed minus 16y cubed. Now, one of the big issues is I'm looking at these numbers here, 2 and 16. They were not on my list of perfect cubes. That's because what we're dealing with here is a GCF. Remember, that's the first thing we always look for anytime we're doing factoring. So a lot of times there's a GCF. So the biggest number that goes into 2 and 16 is 2. What's left on the inside? X cubed minus 8y cubed. Remember, this 2 right here is going to be put in front of our final answer. But now we're dealing with x cubed and 8y cubed. Those are perfect numbers for our pattern. We can now work through it. With x cubed, that's just going to be x. That's going to be our A. And with 8y cubed, that'll be 2y. That's our B. So our pattern is A, B, A squared, AB, B squared. And then this was a minus sign. So when I do SOAP, same, opposite, always positive. Almost done with my answer. All I have to do is remember the GCF out front, the 2, and I've got my final answer. Make sure you write down questions that you have, bring them to class. We'll talk about them in the groups. We'll talk about them as a class. We'll do lots of practice. This is our last video in Unit B, so make sure you go back, watch all the rest of them. Make sure your notes are all ready because we're going to have a unit test coming up very shortly. I'll see you guys later.